I'm giving an L to idiots on Twitter. Idiots on Twitter will work. I guess that also encompasses Kanye West in this. It's not a Kanye West story though. He just kind of started this. There was a video clip that came out of Beyonce with Blue Ivy and then her youngest daughter, Rumi, where Rumi comes out and she's like waving out to the crowd. She's super excited, being a kid, for lack of a better term. And that invited all of the idiots on Twitter to diagnose her as autistic and essentially say that Kanye was right about saying she suffers from some mental illness. Dog, you don't know these people.
Nor are you a doctor who's capable of diagnosing someone of being on the spectrum.
From a 60-second clip?
So listen, some months ago, Shannon Sharp had a guest in the middle of his historic podcast interview run on Club Shay Shay.
Okay.
And he interviewed an individual who went on there and talked about how not only they were autistic, but the assertion that she needed to be formally diagnosed by some sort of medical professional was racist. Because
I really hope this is not who I think it is.
Because of how black people are discriminated against in medicine, which they absolutely are. But again, she took offense to the assertion that we would ask her if she's ever been formally diagnosed, as she's claiming to have autism.
This is who I'm thinking it is.
When you let people play around with shit like this, they gonna play with it. When you let people play around with stuff like this, when you let someone go out there and self-diagnose themselves, and then, again, this is not all, the reason why I haven't set the individuals' names, because it doesn't have to do with them. Sure. And they didn't set this precedence. Sure. But when it's acceptable for a person to self-diagnose themselves, how could you ever critique someone diagnosing you? And then in turn, how does that person who may or may not have anything to do with this stuff at all, altogether, how do they ever beat the allegation? How do I ever prove to you that I am or I am not autistic if you are accusing me of being autistic, of being on the spectrum? How do I prove that to you? I can't.
That's fair.
How about we leave medical diagnosis to medical professionals, and we stop using all these buzzwords that we've learned over the last 5 or 6 years as weapons.
Niggas go to therapy 2 times and think they've got the
as
entire
weapons.
Medical dictionary.
No. It's good that we're aware of these things,
but
that we can put names to these things, and we're not just boiling it down to, oh, they crazy, or oh, they the other R word or whatever. Right, you know what I'm saying? It's good that we know the difference, and it's good that we're better about identifying it as to go seek medical help, but not to become a doctor.
Or
it's not for you to anoint yourself Dr. So-and-so able to prescribe. That's just not a thing.
Maybe keep some of your things as it applies to you, about yourself. Or, if you see somebody who needs help, maybe suggest it. But then also another good rule of thumb is leave people's kids out of your mouth.
I feel like it's a red line, but it's different stuff for different folks, right? Like, I don't personally know anybody who's going to let you run around and talk about their children. I feel like that is, especially for an individual who's so sensitive about their kids. And that's what puts all of this in such a weird place for me, because on one hand, you're asking for sympathy around you and your situation with your children, and you're so loose with your lips about, other people and theirs. And it's just like, it's unprovoked, right? Like, this is no longer a thing about, oh, well, he don't accept me and my wife. He won't come around me and my wife no more. That ain't even your wife anymore, bro.
Right.
We could be on the road to reconciliation at this point, but you're like the crash out of all crash outs. I don't really, I can't condone any of that nonsense. So yeah, I do think it's a kind of above board. Now, what kind of kids we talking about? We talking about under 18 kids? Yeah, no, leave them alone.
Or even
grown ass kids like Michael Jordan Jr. No, we can talk about his ass. We
Once you
can talk
become an
about
adult,
him.
It's a little different.
We can talk about him.
But even then, like, I feel like there's a good-natured way to, like, if you actually have real concern and you're not tweeting for clout in this case, and you have actual real concern, I feel like there's a way to voice that very real concern. That this is not it. This is very clearly not it. And if you don't have anything good to say about fucking kids, just leave it be.
Well, also, is your kid in a professional sphere as well? Like, there is going to come a time where Blue Ivy stands aside from her mother and is going to have to create her own way in whatever realm of entertainment she goes forth in. So,
Sure.
Is she going to be guarded from criticism? Is she not going to be able to be critiqued or even for people to say mean things about her? No.
Well, for one, critiqued is different than diagnosed.
Even still, I don't think anybody has a right, if you're not their doctor, to diagnose anybody from their couch.
Right.
If we're just talking about saying rude things, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. You probably don't want it to be that way, but do you have a right to say what you want about people? Yeah, you do.
think at some level.
You also have a right to reap the repercussions of it as well, but you have a right to say what you want.
I think at some level you have a choice to decide whether or not you want to be a public figure, and then at that point, once you
cross that realm, right, there you go. Now, once you cross that realm into the public sphere, the clock kind of speeds up on your youthfulness, the type of protection that you get in public or by the world. That clock starts a little bit quicker than what it would for a normal human being. It just is what it is.
And while that is not your decision alone, being in the sense that you have two celebrity parents who should be able to guide you through this, it's ultimately her decision and her parents' decision on whether or not she becomes a public figure.
Yep.
And therefore, they all three know that she is susceptible to criticism at that point. Sure.
Yeah, but no, I'm just talking more like Blue Ivy. Rumi is completely out of the conversation. Yeah, she's completely out of the conversation.
That was all for Blue Ivy. Like, if Blue Ivy decides to become a public figure at 14, that's a conversation that the three of them need to have. And then at that point, they should know that she is susceptible to criticism at that.
Come back, WebMD, all is forgiven.
I mean, damn, facts. As a non-parent, it's just like, damn, I applaud them not crashing out on Ye about their son. I don't know how they're doing it. Yeah, I mean,
man. Because, I think that shows you what they think about not only the validity, but the
sanity.
I would say the veracity behind the claim.
Yeah.
The veracity behind the statement. Do this man even mean this? Is he in control of his faculties at the moment? Is there an ulterior motive here? Is he just trying to get our attention?
Yeah.
As opposed to someone trying to seek to sink your empire, like Tony Busby. We on high alert there.
Yeah.
But for, Buddy over there, if he don't end up in a ditch, he might even end up somewhere worse. I wish him the best. Is kind of where they're probably sitting on that.
Sure. Agreed.